You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, grateful that you're here. In fact, thank you. If you have a question that you want answered, go to askdroneu.com. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the show where you're probably going to learn some information that you may not have thought about, or maybe you did, and we go a little deeper. Either way, we're grateful that you're here. As always, my name is Paul.
And my name's Rob. Grateful that you're spending a few minutes of your day with us.
We actually have a really interesting question, and it's something that one of my friends brought up in text on Meta. Trent, you know Trent, yeah. Long story short is...
I've never met Trent.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I think that's because you've never gone to many drone conferences. So
then I will never meet Trent.
Yes. That's okay.
No. I would love to meet Trent sometime. We're going to have to have him here and go to dinner or something.
One of the few very smart, thought-provoking, and very caring people in this industry. So
yeah,
all those things together are so rare, it's not even funny. So it's like, finding...
I get that from your years of communicating with him and knowing him and me hearing third hand.
Yeah, it's like finding a good zebra steak, So anyway.
That's what I was thinking.
Anyway, we've got a great show for you today talking about security drones because Trent brought up, there could be so many service-based opportunities for security drones. He actually had brought this up right after the Charlie Kirk event.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people were posting that the security for Charlie Kirk mentioned that they were unable to fly drones that day. And if you actually look up the TFR schedule and if you look up the Lance map, they could have totally flown that day. So that was a question in itself. But think about all these public events where you could stop and prohibit very terrible things from happening if there was kind of like an eye in the sky. Now, obviously, there are many different things that go beyond that. And with the evolution of flock safety cameras and people really starting to get aware of the reality of persistent surveillance and how we all don't want it, I think that this is more event-focused security with drones, house security with drones. If you got a place out in the middle of nowhere, having security with drones. But I think this podcast is going to definitely raise some really good questions. And remember, we live in America, a country that we can talk about all sides of an issue to make sure that we fully understand what's at hand here. So I would like to keep those friendly debates going because there are going to be some questions raised here with this particular question. Before we get to today's particular question, it is still Cyber Week. Can you believe it? And in all honesty, if you're a Drone U member, you've listened to this show and you've thought, man, I would really just love to go to a training, whether it's a mapping training, whether it's our creative adventure, whether it's our 2-day flight mastery and subject tracking training class, whatever class you want to go to, if you've been thinking about it, now is the time to sign up because it's the lowest prices for the whole year. So if you want to have an adventure you'll never forget, that you'll learn more, you'll walk away with material that you can actually use to market yourself, and you're going to walk away confident and competent to do the job. There's no other place that teaches from experience like Drone U. Where else are you going to get all those elements combined together into one fast-paced, hard-hitting training that will leave you walking away with retaining new workflows, having stuff to literally market yourself, and have memories and adventures for life? I don't think there's anywhere else you can do that. It's why you've got to check out droneublackfriday.com. Yes, it's the same link, but you won't want to miss out on these prices. I mean, seriously, come a week from today, those prices will be gone, and you'll have to probably, like many other people, I hear it all the time, Rob. People come to a training in April or May. Well, I thought about, buying it during Black Friday and I didn't know. And, I was just, there were all these things. And I just decided a couple weeks ago, you know what? It's time to come to this training. And every time I hear, I'm so glad I did. Mm-hmm. So don't wait. Don't learn the hard way. Jump on the bandwagon and we'll see you at a Drone U training, droneublackfriday.com.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and thank you for everything you do and the information you provide for people in the industry. I have a very niche customer in the security industry who is looking for heat mapping, regular mapping, and 3D imaging of specific properties, and they're looking to provide that as a service and a deliverable. I'm looking to find out what you would recommend is the appropriate equipment when it comes to drones and payloads to efficiently do some job like that. If you have any suggestions or any information, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time, and thank you for what you guys do. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brendan. We really appreciate the kind words, and we really appreciate the question because, as always, if you're asking this question, there's a lot of other people that want to know the answer as well. So there's a couple different directions that we could go with this.
There really are.
Maybe we should go both directions or any direction.
I think we should go all the directions.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, one of the things that just jumps out at me first, when he says heat mapping, what does that mean to you? What is he even talking about?
I think that there's some opportunity for speculation there. This could mean thermal mapping.
Right.
This could mean, traffic mapping, essentially, like where you're seeing hotspots of
activity.
Yeah. Either way, I think you're landing on thermal mapping. Now, I will say there's really, really few softwares that can do thermal-based mapping. There's, what is it? Is it Hammer Drones that does it? And then there's Pix40 Mapper that does it. I think Metashape does it as well, but there's very few that actually do it. So that's going to add layers of complexity. Another variable that I was thinking about is, does this drone that he's wanting for security purposes, there's two variables that made me think about what system would be the best for him. And number one is the trigger mechanism, meaning what triggers the drone to actually take off and do the flight. If it's regularly scheduled, then any of the drone in a box systems will work for him. Number two is, does the drone need to detether? Like, for example, let's say, he mentioned, well, we're doing mapping and heat mapping. Okay. And the assumption is that you do not need a drone in a box or a drone dock solution that becomes untethered, right? Like, you want to chase the bad guy.
Either that, or it's just more about understanding the environment and the scene, which is like a one-time map or an every 6-month map.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different scenarios that we didn't get the details on.
100%.
So there's like that kind of what you're describing, which I'm taking as more of a drone as a first responder situation in some sense.
Yes.
Versus prep and planning.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I'm hearing him say as well. So maybe we can speak to both of those.
I think we should, just in case we don't fully understand all the assumptions of the question. First of all, if he needs a drone that becomes untethered, and this is a drone that needs to follow very large distances, I think the best solution is Easy Aerial's Falcon solution. I think that's by far the best. We know CBP uses this drone. It can be, it's a mobile dock. You can have it in the back of a truck. It can land on the move. It can take off on the move. It is by far the most capable drone in a box system of all the domestic and international manufacturers. How they are doing as a company right now, I don't know. But I know that they have a very good solution. The other drone that it makes me think of is the Skydio dock solution, because that's not tethered to begin with. So just like the DJI Dock 3, it is not tethered to begin with. So it can run its missions, it can do things, and you're going to be able to be limited essentially by battery power. So if he's wanting to do mapping and thermal mapping, etc., he's got limited options. He's got the DJI Dock 3, which, again, don't forget there were some security issues. We actually just posted about this in the news show last week.
So a lot of this depends on what they're going to be mapping.
Yeah. If this is someone's private residence and it's not a super big deal, you could probably go with DJI. If it's critical infrastructure or someone high up in the government or anything, the chance that I wouldn't use a DJI dock. I'll just put it that way. I think they're an amazing dock, especially for the price. You could get the 4DT, which is essentially like a Matrice 4 thermal, but the arms are stuck like this.
Oh, so that's right.
That said, that's probably going to be the fastest and cheapest, but there are problems, and we just posted about this. If you want to see the list of security issues with DJI, we just posted about that. So you can check that out on our YouTube page. It's the drone news show from the last week of November. Last thing I'll say really quick is that so he wants thermal mapping, that's going to complicate processing. I don't know if Skydio's cloud system does thermal processing. That's a question that we need to ask Thomas. But long story short is if he's doing mapping, he's got the Skydio X10 option. He's got the DJI Dock 3 option. The DJI Dock will be cheaper. It will be faster to do the mapping because it doesn't have a rolling shutter. It will also have that's actually not true. If he buys the 4DT, it doesn't have the full micro four thirds camera sensor. It has that smaller sensor. So it will be a rolling shutter just like Skydio. So the Skydio X10 does have a FLIR boson thermal camera as well. So it can do mapping as well. The Skydio dock, it's my understanding, I think the base price is like $125,000, and then you've got software costs on top of that. I can't speak to the Skydio's pricing because I honestly don't know. So.
Well, and it's hard to find.
Yeah.
Trent
sold 5 of them last month. Different Trent, by the way, but
different Trent.
But anyway, they're going. So that being said, there's a couple of other options that might be really plausible for you. Sunflower Labs is a fantastic drone in a box solution as well that does offer security patrols. It does offer, and it's built for security as a whole. That was the kind of one of the things that we talked about as far as variables are concerned. Do we want a drone in a box system? $6,500 a month. There's another subscription model. This is Rob's looking at the website for what is that? Titan drone. Titan's drone as a service solution. Oh, so there's now
but it's Sunflower Labs.
Oh, they're using Sunflower Labs. Interesting. Well, so going back to it before I get too rabbit holed here, the trigger for the system. Sunflower Labs is made to essentially work with existing security systems, and it's also made to be triggered by an IR beam. So a lot of ranchers, a lot of very wealthy individuals have these IR beams around their property so that if someone tries to walk up on a wall or a pool or anything like that, an IR beam is broken and it triggers various different things, right? So with Sunflower Labs, that works instantly. I don't know if Skydio has that level of integration just yet. That would be another great question for Thomas as well. But the Sunflower Labs is also the most intuitive design I have personally seen for a drone in a box system. What I love about the design is that no matter where the drone lands on the dock, it always goes to the center point because of how it's designed.
It's brilliant design.
Yeah. The durability, and if you remember from all the stuff that we worked on way back in the day, their capacity for engineering is really good. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's really, really good.
And the way they've done this, you could create like a 360 relatively easily, a 360 viewpoint.
Yeah, 100%. So, just kind of summarizing all the things we've talked about, the Skydio X10 dock, the DJI Dock 3, we've talked about the Sunflower Labs. We've also talked about Easy Aerial's Falcon solution. There are more drone in a box solutions. I think what it comes down to is cybersecurity, number 1, number 2, mission and payload. So he asked that question. The Sunflower Labs, I believe, does not have a thermal camera. So this whole heat mapping thing is going to complicate his purchasing decisions significantly. Because if you look how clandestine that is, that's really cool. So if you need thermal mapping, you reduce your options, I think, to 2, maybe 3. Easy Aerial does have thermal as well. Skydio has them as well. And DJI has them as well. With the DJI ban supposedly happening December 23rd, if you're looking for a DJI dock, you might have to act quickly. I remember the security research that Kevin did on that you could remotely activate those drones, those DJI drone in a box systems. Mm-hmm. That was one of the worst security issues were those remotely operated drones. So
interesting.
Something to consider. Not everyone needs that level of scrutiny, but if someone's paying you $10,000 a month to have a security solution for them and someone can go in and activate the drone whenever they want to over the internet, that could be problematic. You could argue that could probably happen to them all, right? I mean, what isn't hackable?
That's with the right person behind the hack. Pretty much nothing.
Well, if Kevin's behind the hack, it's screwed.
Well, as totally, and as smart as Kevin is, and he's one of the good guys, there's guys like him that are the bad guys.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. But okay, so that's kind of the immediate response kind of side of the coin, right?
Yeah.
What if they're just looking for sort of one-off mapping opportunities? They don't need the docking system. They just need to map a bunch of stuff for planning, for understanding the environment, for strategic communications, etc.
Well, I mean, I think the classic DJI option would be the Matrice 4E for regular mapping, or the Matrice 4T that includes thermal. Just know that when you include thermal, you degrade the quality of all the other sensors. So your regular maps will have less quality as a whole.
If you've got the funds, and so would you recommend just getting both of those instead of like the Skydio?
Yeah. I mean, with how cheap they are and how good they fly and how fast they are, I really think Adam is shooting himself in the foot by not having a global shutter mapping camera on the Skydio drones. Like it's baffling.
He's answered that for you, hasn't he, as to why?
Yeah, the increased cost, it needs bigger motors on the gimbal. He came on the show and talked about it.
Yeah.
I hear him, and he's very good on the air. I mean, he was just on Sean Ryan's show.
Well, and really?
Yeah.
I got to listen to that. Well, I mean, the engineering team's there. They're great, right? So
They are.
I don't know.
But it's like,
I guess got to trust they're making the best decision for their company.
I think it's going to come full circle, because when a Skydio drone takes 22 minutes to map 10 acres versus everything else. I mean, Astro was 3 minutes. Mavic 3 Enterprise was 5.
But if
Wingtro was 3.
But if their customers don't care, their big customers that are buying whatever 100,000, 10,000 drones don't care, then they don't care.
Yeah,
if they're talking about one guy who wants to go buy one to go do some of the kind of work that we're talking about on this show, why would you worry about it?
I mean, valid, but it's going to come down to, I think the audience does learn, they mature and realize the ability for them to map off that dock is going to be limited by battery power. And if you're mapping really, really slow, then you can't map that much.
I would not be surprised if they don't have a global shutter room in the warehouse, meaning they could do it if they needed to.
Yeah.
Like they've worked on it. They know the tech. They could throw it into manufacturing if they saw the necessity.
Yeah.
I'm totally speculating on that, but I would be surprised if there's not a, I don't know, global shutter team or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's a payload update.
I'm obviously not sure either. That's the epitome of speculation.
No, for sure. But I do think that the market will mature to a point where how you process data and how you capture data and the speed therein is going to dictate the overall capacity of the drone dock system as a whole. Like with Skydio.
If it's being used for mapping.
Yeah. Well, in this case, yeah. 100%.
Right. In this case.
Yeah. 100%.
And if there's enough use cases like this, well, we're even speculating on these use cases, but that's kind of, I guess, what we're doing here.
100%. Yeah. We are speculating. Now, that being said, Tesla did just have an astronomical breakthrough on battery technology.
They did.
Yes. I'm going to talk about it in the news show this week, but essentially, and it's something to do with the anode again. So they've created a new way to mass manufacture these batteries that charge faster. So my understanding is it was actually a CO2 cell. Yeah, the 4680 cells that they created. Yep. So long story short is I think we're going to be seeing better batteries. I know the AI stuff is crazy. Better batteries. I think we're going to be seeing drones moving away from lithium. It's so funny that all this is happening right now too, just because drone industry is about to literally be completely reinvented all over again. And it's going to be interesting and fun to kind of watch and definitely be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that you have not mentioned this entire show is FreeFly.
Because this guy, it seems like, wanted a solution that...
But if it's mapping and thermal, couldn't you do all that on an Astro?
You could do
if it's not the immediate response need that we're...
Correct. You could absolutely do that. The LR1 is going to be way faster than the Skydio. The quality is going to be way better than DJI. Yes, you could shoot the thermal and the stills at the same time. And yes, you could cover very large distances because the camera is so big. I think the other thing that I was going to mention too was the Quantum Systems drone and their fixed wing solution, because supposedly a lot of people are buying them. Trent has been talking about he wants us to do a course on it, just because he's selling like 3 to 4 a week. So, because think about it, it's like a wing truck.
Bring it on up, Trent.
Except for half the price. So yeah, so I was going to reach out to him, plan for next week. So
fantastic.
Anyway, all in all, there's a lot of solutions for this. This is definitely becoming, I don't think people understand how expensive security is to have physical people there. And to have a drone in a box solution, especially for event security, is a no-brainer. If you've got certain solutions too, some people are like, well, if you have an event, how can you fly over people and whatnot? Well, there are ways you can fly around people. You can get drones that have the parachute systems. Again, FAA, that doesn't make drones safer. It just makes it worse, but whatever. We can follow compliance until you guys have a horrible accident and realize it's not the way to go, but it is what it is. I think once we see manufacturer OEM parachutes, ballistic, not blocking GPS, it's going to be a different world. So until then, the parachutes don't help. But I'm on a diatribe again. I'm sorry. Lots of security options. It was my understanding that this is kind of a drone in a box methodology / solution.
What do you mean?
So
that they're looking for? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was clear, but I think we kind of went both down both roads, and so hopefully we've answered his question. I would say, based on the fact that we're saying we don't quite know all the details to the question that you're asking, if we didn't answer it, please follow-up question would be great, and then we can go deeper specifically on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But hopefully this at least gave him a lot to think about and to talk about.
I mean, I think if you ask the question, is there a huge market for drone as a security service, if I can even say it, there absolutely is. After the Charlie Kirk event, a couple of the guys.
I don't think that's what he was asking, but go ahead.
No, I don't think so either. But there were a couple of guys at the All In Summit who were asking me, do you know what drone system I could buy to have drone security? Because people keep breaking into my house. And my instant thought was, well, why don't you move? But
well, that could be more expensive than just buying a really good drone. Especially if you've got a 3% interest rate.
Yep, exactly. So I think that there is a huge market for this. And if you're in the security industry, the time is now. People see the value. So hopefully that helps. And remember, options, you got DJI Dock 3, you've got Sunflower Labs, you got Easy Aerial. You've got the Skydio Dock. I forget which dock that they're on. There's some fancy name for it, but I don't remember. So I always find it so funny when people are like, oh, you mean the Model 125? And I'm like, do you really think you're that cool?
Well, yeah. I mean, anyway.
It's we're all human. We're all human. I am too. I am so human. I am not perfect. So
human and flawed. But anyways, hopefully that answered the question. Like I said, if not, please send in a follow-up question. We'd love to go deeper, very specifically on what you're wondering about. But I think that was a reasonable assimilation of kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Right on.
On that note, it's going to do it for us. So if you're ready to take advantage of the in-person training deals that you won't get anywhere else this Cyber Week, DroneU.BlackFriday.com. You have a question? Ask DroneU. You want the best training on the market that's only taught from experience? Well, we're the only school that does that. So check it out, thedroneu.com.